Hi, Dinara.
Yes, hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's great. So, thank you so much for joining this live session.
Yes, thank you for inviting.
Thank you so much. So, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us who Dinara Kasko is?
Okay, so I'm human.
Human being, okay. Yes.
um, I'm a designer. I'm an architect. I worked as an architect during 8 years. I worked when I graduated from my university. I worked during 3 years like visualizator. I don't know how to pronounce. So I made
Yeah.
renders. And I worked a lot on my computer. I remember I made interiors, exteriors, a lot of renders every day. But then I started to attend different pastry classes, and little by little I understood that pastry became much more interesting for me than just renders.
Architecture. Mm.
Yeah, not even architecture, but renders, because for me, when I remember when I worked, I for me the biggest problem was that can't I couldn't touch, I didn't see the final result. So I made the pictures, but I always liked to do something with my hands, some handmade. So I was interested in art all my life. And then when I started to bake, I like it was tasty. It was good, sweet, and I like sweets in general. I like pastries, and I saw the result of what I'm doing, and it was very interesting for me. So yes, I was a designer. I also made a few interiors, like I made real designs, so people live there, and also one big house in Ukraine. And I worked as a graphic designer a bit. I worked as a photographer a few years. So it was always around some design. But then I started baking, and of course I started from something simple. So I baked simple cakes. Just I learned how to make it, and then after in 2014 or 15, like I registered, I made account on my Instagram, like on the Instagram. I saw beautiful art on the Instagram, and I was shocked, of course. And as I had pastry experience and photo experience and design experience, I started to make better pictures, better photos. And then I noticed that some interesting design got much more likes and attention and followers. And then I made a few my own molds. They were very strange for that, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. They were very, like, my molds were very surprising and unusual, and I attracted, like, they were too much attention. Just
Okay.
little by I changed my career from just architect. So now I like to tell that I can say that I do not work with design now, but I do design for cake. So for edible objects, I work with edible
Oh,
ingredients, making edible design, something like
that's
this.
great. That's great. Can you tell us a little more about your work as an architect and how does it affected your work?
Like 100%. I don't know. Everything that I done is because I'm an architect, and I always try to make something unique, interesting, with some like contemporary design, because I saw a lot. And of course, every time when people asked me like how you did this design or that, and I always answer, so I do not have any, special rules how to create the model or the shape of the cake. But I have inside me, I have this feeling after I studied during 3 years in art school and 6 years at the university. Right now, I think I have this like proportion and composition. So I know how it should, like all colors and everything. So it's just inside me because I grow up with this, with some
Hmm.
beauty around me.
Hmm. Yeah. And what was the exact point or the turning event that you said, okay, now from this point from now, I'm not going to work as an architect or visualizer anymore.
Hmm.
And I'm going to turn, and 100% of my time will be allocated to pastry and designing cakes and fabricating them. So
Hmm.
we call it edible architecture, actually, edible designs. So what was that unique event? Maybe you can tell us about
Hmm.
that unique event.
Um, you know,
And I
the most,
know that it's not just one unique event, it's the
yeah.
accumulation of small,
Hmm.
small events. But that there's one point that you decide.
Yeah,
Tell me about that point.
I think because I was pregnant, it,
Okay.
yeah.
That
Uh,
makes sense.
I will explain because I worked as an architect, and I remember I was pregnant, and when it was like 6 months, I couldn't sit, so it was just I have some pain, or I don't remember. So I put much more effort, like attention, on making cakes. After, when my daughter was around like 5 months old, I registered on the Instagram, and then I started to post my pictures, and I attracted, like, they were a lot of attention, and people asked me to come to make like pastry class. So I became popular while I was in this like maternity leave. I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
call it.
Yes.
So I didn't, it wasn't like today I decided that tomorrow I will, I don't know, leave architecture. So just little by little, but as I had this pause, and during this pause with my small daughter, I started to bake. Like, I became popular suddenly. I didn't plan it. Like, I didn't think about pastry career when I studied at the university, never. So it just happened.
Yeah, sometimes you can't guess, or you can't see the future that is much more brighter for you.
Yeah.
It's just around the corner, and you just need to go there.
But
That
my mother, she asked me many, many times. I remember, do not change my career, because for her, it's like physically, when you stay and you cook every day on the kitchen, it's difficult, really. And for her, my education, I paid so much like time and money for my education. She wanted me really to be an architect. And I talked with her a lot about this. And a lot of people ask me right now about this, like, why you decided, how was it? And for me, I have one very good answer. So I decided to be an architect when I was 15. But then when I was 23, I understood that, okay, it was not my like, it was decision of that girl, but no, not me nowadays. And why not? Like, if I made this decision 8 years ago, it doesn't mean that I need to be an architect all my life. So I just felt I liked pastry, and I just decided to do what I like. And of course, my relatives and friends, they supported me, but it was really quite difficult because um, I really had the big plans for future architectural career, because I had only the best, how to say, numbers. Like, I was one of the best students at the university in my year, and so.
that's great. That's great. And which one of your projects, or let's say cakes, have gone viral on Instagram for the first time?
For the first time, the very first, I think it was chocolate block cake. It was black cake, very like with sharp edges and with red lines. And I think this one, and also I had publication in So Good Pastry magazine. This is one of the most popular magazine, like in English. I think this is the most popular magazine, and they proposed me to make an article for them. We made 5 cakes together with my husband. He helped me a lot with ideas, with photos, because he is a photographer. And we made 5 cakes, and they published this magazine, and I just, I woke up popular just suddenly. I planned it.
Like the paparazzi were in front of your door.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I had so many journalists and interviews, and I don't know. I remember I received like at least 10 invitations per day to go somewhere,
Oh.
for a big event, make a cake. And at the same time, I was just ordinary housewife, designer, with no pastry, how to say, education, normal. Like I didn't finish any pastry university or something culinary
Oh my
academy.
God.
Yeah, and I didn't expect such attention, and I closed. I didn't post a lot. I just, because it was too much for me. And then
Right.
after,
So
yeah,
so you were, let's go back to the point that you mentioned. You were pregnant and you were staying at home, and because you didn't want to sit, you started the pastry and these cakes, 3D modeling on computer, and then probably using Rhino Grasshopper or maybe
yeah,
using 3ds Max, and then you started fabricating them, like building them or cooking them in your kitchen. Is that right?
yeah,
In
yes,
your kitchen. So it's you and your husband.
yeah, yeah. And
Oh, okay.
very first model we ordered printing from my friends. They had handmade 3D printer, and it was very simple, and it printed very small pieces. So we printed small pieces, stuck them together with glue, with like, and then they worked in garage. So it was just really experiment, nobody.
Right.
But they, this So Good magazine, they put my cake on the cover, and it was, they published always only very well-known pastry chefs, some talented guys, I don't know, something like someone very popular, than me. And so I was really nervous. But then, so right now I have mass production in China. We sell thousands of molds, and I travel around the world. I started to speak English, and of course, right now everything is different.
Right, right. You have a brand in Turkey as well, in Istanbul. Is
Yes,
that right?
yes. Hmm.
Yeah, that's great. So, where do you find your inspirations, and like when you want to start a new project, what do you look for?
So I have a few different ways how I do my cakes. Sometimes I have a task. For example, someone invites me to some event, and they give me task like cake of Versailles, and I'm thinking about Versailles, so I do something around this topic. Sometimes I can see something, and then I can think like, okay, why do not make it like a cake? Why not? It can be interesting. So it can be some picture or some, I don't know, something around me. And sometimes it's just about marketing. For example, right now when we sell our molds, now I understand what kind of molds people will buy more, and what kind, like what type less, because some of them very convenient to work, and people just for big masses, for many people they are okay. And sometimes when mold is very strange and aggressive, so it's not for everyone. That's why, I do not have problems with inspiration at all. I just have time with, I have problem with time, because I think I have hundreds of ideas that I can't really make it. So it's just a big list. For example, I draw one mold of flower,
Oh
maybe
my God,
it will
nice.
be similar like this, and I have new mold, so it will be some curves. Yeah, I have a lot of drawings, just don't have time to do everything like a cake. And from the other hand, I think this problem can be very maybe you can understand it, because when you share some ideas, you can't share just idea because someone can copy it. So you need to share some ready something.
Yeah,
And
packaged and fully published everything. Yeah.
yes, that's why for me it's difficult. So let's say I draw something and I can just post some my tests, so I can talk about this, and I did it previously. But Chinese company copy me very much, and if I show this picture on my Instagram, they like in 2 months you can buy it.
Yeah. I saw one of your sketches right now, so I'm gonna try to copy and in my kitchen.
Yeah, so that's why I would like to share much more, but I can't. It's just um, because we also need to sell something, otherwise I have money to
Exactly.
buy my.
Yeah, exactly. So before continuing, sorry to interrupt. If any of our audience has any question to ask from Dinara, just write them in the question box down below, and I'm gonna ask them from at the end, a couple of them from Dinara. So if you have any questions, just write them in the question box down below. So speaking about your amazing cakes and designs, which one of them is your top and your most favorite?
Okay, so I don't know how to answer, because every time when people ask me about my like most like my best cakes, for me all of them are like my kids. So I can't say that I like one, I like my son.
Okay.
But
It's like which one of your kids you like the most?
yeah, because all of them, they were made in different type of my like period of my life for different reasons. But of course there are some huge projects, for example for Metropolitan Museum in US, or I remember project for Dita magazine, when we made more than one, like there were a lot of chocolates together, and I remember it took me 3 weeks to make it. It was, I don't know, I broke all my fingers. Then I have also what else? Oh
Like
my God.
how many days normally takes to make the making process
Mhm.
from 0 to 100?
Uh, from 0 to 100, what?
Like from the starting point of the
Mhm.
making of the cake to finishing it up, just eating, ready to eat.
It
How many
depends.
days it takes?
It depends. For example, I remember when we made coffee cake, it took me one day. In the morning, I just thought about this idea, and in the evening, I had really like I had ready design, and I had my recipe previously. I had coffee recipe, but sometimes it can take 1 month, for example, because we are printing, then we are changing models, we are printing again. I'm working on the recipes, and if we talk about, for example, making molds at the handmade molds, and we have like these factory made molds, so it takes around 6 months from the idea till final model.
Right. And do you eat them after you make, or you just make them as decorative, or
It sometimes I eat, like yesterday I made the shooting and now I have here part of, so
okay.
I, it was just I have on the chocolate
The
I eat.
beautiful structure has just
Yeah, it
demolished.
was spiral. It was a big like small spiral cake. I'm going to show it soon, share the recipe. So sometimes I eat, but usually when we made tests, it depends. Sometimes we made tests with some not very edible ingredients, so we try to use something cheaper
Mhm.
and just throw it, because even for health it's not good to eat a lot of sugar. Sometimes we just put it near trash bins on the street so people can take it, but usually we shared with my staff when we were in Ukraine, so we just
Mhm.
cut and gave to everybody.
Mhm. So you said you've made projects for museums, is that right?
Hmm.
And so is it something decorative that you make them to stay there, or is it something that it is collaboration and they're gonna eat the cake?
We cut cake and people eat it.
Okay.
We huge cake. It was 3-level cake, 15 kilo. We It was presentation in the museum. There were 4 or 5 chefs, I don't remember, and we showed different pastries. Topic was Versailles. Everything was about Versailles, and also about this you can find even movie on Amazon, Cakes of Versailles, I think the name is, but I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. So it was a very long movie, very interesting, with extremely professional team. I know they won a few like competitions with this documentary movie. So you
Nice. So, what happened? You had a studio in Kharkiv,
Yep.
is that right? So, what happened to that studio?
Nothing happened, so it's empty. There are no people, no life. Right now, my landlord, so I do not pay rent and taxes, but when I have to pay, I will move from here. Unfortunately, of course, I'm very sad about this because this studio was all my life. I made their renovation myself, and we paid a lot of money and time, and it really was my second home. Yes, but there is no way to come back home right now because we are under shelling. I don't know.
Yes.
So rockets. My city have rockets every day. It's very dangerous. I'm not going to come back right now there, and we need to start again. But it's really difficult. So I don't know. Just I lost it.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my team, my equipment, big part of my life, my friends, like my relatives. I can't meet them, but we are here and trying to work.
Yeah. I mean, that's sad, but I understand, and I hope the situation just gets better as we move forward. And yeah, I hope this war ends soon. You can get back to Kharkiv to your amazing studio, and we can see great looks again.
Yeah, we started with my husband to make videos and photos here. I also printed a few new models, but with kids it's so difficult because previously, of course, I had big business in Ukraine and I had team and we
Mm-hmm.
had, but now here. And after all, I would like to tell that it's very, how to say, important to spend time with your family and friends because nobody knows what will be tomorrow. I worked a lot during last year. I really worked a lot and then I lost a lot. So if you have time, just meet your friends, and you need to care about your work, but when you have some dangerous situation, guys, it's not so important as we thought about it. Really,
Mm-hmm.
the most important is just to hug your relatives and understand that everything is okay with all people, and um, that's all.
Yeah, thank you. So Aina says, Dinara, you have done it before and you can do it again in a better way. I believe in you. Just a
Yeah,
positive comment.
we just, the biggest problem, we need to wait until war is finished, and then I can start to work normally, because now I'm thinking only about war and the situation.
I
Difficult
can.
to concentrate.
I can imagine. So I'm gonna pop up a couple of questions from our audience. So
There was a question, where are you from? I'm from Kharkiv city.
yes. So Morax L says, thank you for sharing your experience. Did architecture help your in what you are doing now, and how? I think you have discussed a little bit on that, but if you want to
Yes,
describe it more.
everything that I have because of architecture and because of design, because I'm trying to do edible design objects, some design objects. And also I saw the question about secret of popularity, like what was the secret. I don't have any secrets, but I just want to tell that if you want to be popular and you want to have some success, you have two ways. First way is to make something unique, very unique, so you will have some attention. And second way is to do what you can do, but in very good quality. So very good things or unique things. It's just two options. Otherwise, you just will do the same things like all other people. But main thing just to be happy. I don't know.
That's awesome. So guys, if you have any questions, just write them in the question box below, and I'm going to ask them from Dinara. So Dinara, can you tell me what are the limits and the challenges, the challenges that you face of making these amazing types of cakes? What are the challenges?
So challenges, of course, with printing, we have always some questions because, I don't know, we can have problems with 3D printers, with printing, with something. Also, if we talk about cakes, we always need to have flat bottom. Let's say this is my mold and this is cake. So I can't make very thin and high cake because it will not be stable. So
like a skyscraper.
Yeah, we can use chocolate, for example, for it, so chocolate will be stable. But I'm working with mousse cakes. They are very fluffy, very tender. They're really very tender, and they need to be stable. So, for example, usually we have such molds. It's for 100, like 1,300 grams, like a little bit more than 1 kilo. So we have some volumes and grams that are okay and common for cakes. So we work with these sizes. And also, for example, height also, if we have few layers inside and we talk about mousse cakes, so the height can be not more than 7 centimeters because otherwise it just it's not very good for mousse cakes. But sometimes I do like this one. It's a big mold. Maybe you can see some here ornament, some pattern. It's oriental mold, and it was high. So we also sometimes work with such high molds, but it's a bit more difficult, and you need to have very good blast freezer, and that's all. And what else? So limits, in general, no limits, guys. I always tell that there are no limits. So no one can tell you that you can't do it. There are no rules, nothing, no books. So if you dream about something, if you want to do something, why not? You can try at least, because if you like, you need to believe in yourself. I don't know, in you.
Yes.
There are no rules, so you can there are rules, but there is no, how to say, zakon, I don't know how to translate, like no list with information like you can do this and you can't do this. You can do everything you want. You just don't listen to such people who tell you that you don't deserve, it's not for you. Why not? It's your life and not someone else.
That's amazing, and very inspiring words. Thank you so much for that. And you have also a vision of using parametric tools and building up the new type of geometries for your cakes. How does that interest come from, and how do you fabricate all these stuff with 3D printing, with if you are using, you discussed about molding. Tell me about your vision that you had about these cakes, integrating parametric design with edible architecture. Where does that vision come from?
So of course, parametric architecture right now, it's very popular, like type of architecture.
Yes.
To make something unique, if you do some parametrical cake, it's always unique. And in general, to be honest, I had the idea, maybe you saw my tall cake. I had the cake, breaking wall cake with a lot of like stones together. And I wanted to make it like a collection. So I wanted to make 6 different cakes using different parametrical textures and way how to create it. I still have this project. I want to make it. I just don't have time for it. To be honest, I really want to do something with parametric, something very unique and interesting, but I can't make a lot of money on it. And I still have team and we need to produce something normal for people to sell. But at the same time, such things, they attract a lot of attention and they make my brand more and more popular. And of course, when I studied at the university, I remember even I tried to learn grasshopper a few months and it was very interesting for me. But at the end, I made the model in 3ds Max because it was...
That's great. Very, very easier.
Yes, it was easier. So I also, you know, when you ask me about inspiration, it's very interesting because I remember I worked with Houdini, and in Houdini, you know, you can push a few buttons and you have such amazing result. And it's difficult to choose what kind of model you want to make like a cake, because there are a lot of options that you don't need to create something special. There are just some like functions that you can choose, modifiers. And in general, I worked mostly with 3ds Max. I work with Cura software. It's just for printing. I know very well Photoshop, Illustrator, and Archicad. I worked a lot with Archicad. And if I need to do some parametrical, I usually ask my team, guys, they work like outsource. So we are chatting almost every day. They are making something for me. It's just easier. So don't hesitate to ask someone's help if you need, because in this way you can be faster and make much more. And yeah, we do some parametrical things together.
That's great.
Yeah, and we this year I'm going to publish a few more interesting cakes.
That's awesome. So we need a couple of your cakes in our office. So we need to order PA or AD, architect and design logo on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, can be.
Of course. Thank you so much. And we have one question from one of our audience as well. I'm going to ask it. But I think you discussed about it. What is your advice on choosing different paths in architecture? Like someone is studying architecture and they start working as a product designer. You started pastry chef, and me started media. I'm an architect. Then I switched to be a media. So what is your advice on that?
So I think you need to understand what you like to do, because if you like to do something, you can do a lot. So if you study architecture, it doesn't mean that you need to build some buildings to make buildings, but you can do a lot of things around it. And like me, and for example, maybe in future I will change also my goal, but you need to understand that every year, every time you will change. And in any case, even if you work in some architectural company right now, in a few years you will change your career somehow. You will be project manager or some main manager, director, and you will learn more and more. And for me, it's very important and the most interesting part for me in my job. Personally, I like learning something new, and every year I try to learn some new um, something new for me. For example, I learned architecture, also sculpture, photography, then pastry, then I learned how to make a business, because it's, you know, it's like different universe to make a business, to make money and calculate everything. And then I learned a lot of different new software. So you need to be flexible and you need to learn as much as you can. And also a second important thing, you know, why also I changed my career. I think because when I went to my university, it was 2005 and everything was great. But then in 2008 we had crisis and a lot of constructions, like everything stopped in Ukraine, and especially in my city. And I remember we made designs and everything, like all customers tried, they asked me to make something cheap, you know, something very cheap. And even at, like, I draw a lot of beautiful design objects and architect, like everything was beautiful, but at the end, in fact, you couldn't build it because no money, like you just, no one can build it. In your city you have just IKEA, I don't know, it's like the top of your and nothing. So I couldn't do beautiful design having what I had, you know. I don't know how to explain. But when I turned to pastry, and it wasn't so expensive, so, and it worked for me especially. So you need to understand, even if you are crazy talented 3D architect and parametrical, I don't know, designer and architect, but you live in a very small city town where it's not like, people don't care about it at all. So you need to change something, your country, I don't know, your job. So you because when you do something and you have this feedback, like money, attention, I don't know, some good messages from your boss or something, when you have this, you can make more and more and more. But when you do something and you do not have result, you can't see the result, you stop to move. So every time when you do something, you need to understand that you like to do this and you can have result, not maybe not today, but tomorrow or in 1 year. But if it doesn't work, just change, try to change. Why not? We have long life.
Also, Petkov says, advice for where and how to start where you are now.
I'm in the UK near Liverpool and Manchester. We have rainy, sunny.
No, he says, please give some advice how to start and where can start from, like to reach to the point where you are.
To reach, okay. So as I told, I didn't plan it, so I don't know, you know, recipe, but you need to find something that you like to do. And for example, social media helped me a lot, so I always advise people right now to start in TikTok. It really works, you know. For example, if we compare with Instagram, in Instagram right now it's very difficult to get new followers, like extremely difficult. For example, I have 2 accounts and the second one very small, and I have there much more views and than here in my bigger account. But in TikTok it works, so you can share how, like, you can share your work, the process, something that can be interesting for people. You can share your life, like everyday life, and step by step something. So people, they really, and if you do something beautiful, yes, so people will be interested in it, and you will have this attention. So it was with me, and then you will receive more and more invitations, some offers. So like this. Or you can also write to some media like parametrical architecture, architect and design. If you have some ideas, you have some projects, you need to share. So don't be shy, try to knock on all doors, try to share.
Exactly.
One day it will work, but you don't need to wait until someone will invite you. If you want to be, you need to do it, not someone else but you. Because one also important thing that happened to me when we made my first mold with Italian company Silica Mart, and this mold was very popular. They sold it around the world, everywhere, you know. It was huge Italian company. So I wrote them email that I'm young pastry designer from Ukraine. I want to order some molds with my design. And finally, they proposed me a collaboration. But I wrote them, not they. Sometimes it happened and company can invite you. But if you want to be popular and you want to make a strong business, you need to write yourself. Or in big companies, there are like marketing team and people who are writing all the time, and this is their job. But don't be shy, and of course make something beautiful. Yes. It's very important. Make
Important.
art. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, definitely the product should be amazing and by far good to make some noise and bring you popularity and everyone buys it. And yeah, and also I remember your first messages on our account sending your projects, which were amazing. We started publishing them back in 2017 or 18, as I remember. They were amazing.
But that
Thank
time,
you.
that time I had so many attention. It was like I was everywhere, you know, New York Times, Independent. Like I didn't care because it was too much. But of course now it's different because we have different Instagram. How to say it? It
Yeah,
shows different way. So that's why right now we need to fight. You know, for all publications, need to do a lot.
exactly, exactly. Thank you so much. And we are also excited and looking forward to see you at the Computational Design Next conference on July 16th and 17th. You're going to have a lecture over there, and you're going to discuss much more in details about the process of your cakes and what kind of designs and how do you generate those designs. And for those people who are interested, just go to our profile and click on the link in our bio, and you can register right now on July 16 and 17, Computational Design Next 10. So thank you so much, Dinara. Just let me know if you have any final words. And I really enjoyed this talk. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes. So my last, I don't know, sentence. So you need to love each other, love what you do, try to do your best, and pray for peace. I don't know, and be
Exactly.
human with each other.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Yeah,
that and see you soon.
thank you. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching this interview, and I hope you enjoyed the talk. And we look forward to invite more creative people, creative designers, and architects to join these live sessions. And don't forget to join for the Computational Design Next conference on 16th and 17th of July. And we look forward to see you soon again. Till another interview, another day. See you soon. Goodbye.